Live from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the Total Education Show, the talk shop for teachers, parents, and administrators. Here's your host of the show, Neil Haley, the Total Tutor.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Total Celebrity Show. You can check me out on Twitter at Total Tutor and also neilhaley.com. And I'm really excited about my two guests on the line. So I'm excited to welcome the program from Duck Dynasty, Korie-Robertson and Chrys Howard, authors of Happy, Happy, Happy Stories for Kids. Korie and Chrys, how are you?
Hey, Neil. Great. Thanks for having us.
Fantastic. I guess looking back and then talking to them and interviewing them and asking them specific questions, say, hey, I did something pretty good. I was really able to help them in so many ways when you hear about making them happy. Because I bet you the stories, Chrys, not always are the happiest stories, yet they made them happy based on looking back and laughing about it, right?
Well, absolutely. And our people ask us, do our kids mind us writing stories about them? And they really don't. They've been on TV now for 5 years, so they're kind of used to their lives being out there. In fact, they wanted to know, did some of their stories make the book? You know, some of the things that they've done. And it's great fun. We wrote one story about the girls who all have a playhouse down at Peppa Phil and Menlo Hayes, and they call it Lickety Split. And I didn't know all the details, and so I had to interview the girls and say, well, tell me exactly what did the curtains look like? What happened when you did this? You know, and that. And so it was really fun just to go back and relive those moments with them because they are getting older now.
Absolutely. And Korie, I think that when I look back at some of the fun things so far we've done with our kids, it's the littlest things. It's just basically being a family and experiencing and creating. And it's a noisy life, too, especially when they're young, right, Korie?
That is so true. Yeah, it's never boring around here for sure. But that's the fun part about it, and it is, you know, now in today's day and age when everybody's busy, everybody's working hard, and you got sports and school activities, and parents have jobs and phones that you can never get away from your email or your phone call away from the office. It is important to kind of take that time and just be intentional about it. And that's what we talk about. I have another book called Strong and Kind. It's really about being intentional about instilling the values and the character traits you want to see in your kids. And that's really what this book is about, too. It's just being intentional about it and taking the time and laughing together, too. One of the values that we say is important in our family is to not take yourself too seriously, to be able to laugh at yourself and look at your successes and your failures, both with joy, to be like, oh, we can laugh about the things that we screwed up on and learn the lesson from it and move on.
Now, Chrys, did you ask Korie to put any stories about her in this, in the book?
About her childhood?
Yeah, her childhood.
We don't have any stories from her childhood, but we do have one from Willie's in the book.
Oh.
And so one thing we say about the books is we're kind of like Uncle Si. They're 95% true. There's, you know, we maybe take a little liberty to make it work out in a different way, well, the endings are always the same, but you know, you take a little bit of writer's freedom in it, so to speak. But there is a story of a young Willie wanting to to play a musical instrument. So we have a little bit of that, and a little bit, I think, did we include one about the guy?
There's one about Jet being the baby of the family.
Brian. yeah, we did.
Oh, wow. So that's great. And did you enjoy working together writing the book, Korie? You and Chrys? Did you enjoy that?
We love working together. We actually live next door to my parents, and so that'll show you what our relationship is like. We built a house right next door to my parents, and our neighborhood is actually full of family. We've got all Willie's brothers in this neighborhood, and a lot of my family, my grandmother and aunt and uncle, and so there's always cousins around to play with. But Mom and I love working together, and we do life together on a daily basis, and you know, we're just really, really thankful to get to do that.
When, Chrys, you talk about you being an educator as well, you wanted these to be life lessons as well for kids. When the stories that really will help parents and also kids figure out that sometimes happiness is different than they experience what television says, right, Chrys? Sometimes it's
exactly.
not about, it's not.
I get,
go ahead, sorry.
And I think that does come from my education background. Corey kind of teases me that I can turn anything into a life lesson. But I think when you have that responsibility, and you talk to educators all the time, when you have that responsibility of imparting wisdoms and truths on children, you do take that seriously, and you always look for little life lessons that you can teach. I teach my own kids, my own grandkids, and any kids who happen to be around me. They're going to get a little life lesson in whatever's going on that day.
Now, Corey, what are you guys doing regarding book signings, things like that, once the book is released? Are you guys going to be traveling the country to promote the book, or what are you looking to do? Yeah,
the book comes out February 21st, and I'm really not sure what we've got. We are like, our life seems to be so busy that it's like we take it day by day. It's okay, that's 2 weeks from now. We'll figure that out when the time comes. But I don't think we have any book signings right now on the calendar, but we might do some.
It comes once the book finally is released, and that makes you guys really, really excited. And I guarantee once all of your fans find out for sure, because again, like I said, that when this releases, it's a day before the release of the book. So it's so great that you guys were able to take the time. Now, Chrys, what do you think was your favorite part of the book? Favorite story? Do you have a favorite story to share?
One of my favorite stories, because our family loves to go skiing. That's just something we've done ever since our kids were little. I think Corey started skiing when she was 4 or 5, and we ski together at least every other year. Would love to do it every year, but now we're kind of on the every other year rotation. But I tell a story about where we let Bella, who was the youngest of our skiers at that time, I think she was about 8, she wanted to lead us back to our condo, and she took a wrong turn, and I followed her, and everybody else went the right way, but I knew that I had to follow her. I couldn't leave her on her own, and we just went over a trail and down on a road. We had to take our skis off and walk and hike, and it was a tough thing, but I love that journey that we had together. Sometimes it's those tough journeys that make you get closer to your kids or your friends or whoever, and so Bella and I share that journey, and it's such a great lesson, and to tell other kids, be careful who you follow, and then if you are the leader, be careful where you're going.
All right. Well, Corey, tell us social media-wise how we can check out both you and Chrys, and we can purchase the book in all fine art bookstores, Amazon, all those different places, but best place we can find info on you, Corey and Chrys. Good.
Okay, well, there is a website, happystories.com, and it'll tell you a little bit more about the book. But, yeah, you can find the book anywhere, and you can follow us. I'm Boss Hog's wife, and on Instagram and Twitter, and just Corie Robertson on Facebook. And, Mom, you want to tell your handles so they can follow you?
Mine is just Chrys Howard, and it's spelled Chrys, Chrys Howard, on Instagram and on Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah, and so, follow along. We love to share pictures and stories from our life through those mediums as well. And, we'll make sure and keep everybody updated on where the book is and how you can find it.
Well, I love catching up with the Robertsons. I've talked to Sadie. I've talked to Willie. I've talked to you twice, Corey, and now Chrys. It's becoming a family affair, but I love the values, what you guys bring. And I will miss Duck Dynasty, but I know we're not going to hear the end of you guys after the show's over. I know there's big things coming for both of you. So best of luck, and thanks again for calling.
Thanks so much, Neil. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Take care, guys. Okay, bye-bye. You're listening to Total Celebrity Show, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Total Celebrity Show. You can check me out on Twitter at Total Tutor and also neilhaley.com. I'm excited to welcome the program Akbar-gbajabiamila. Akbar, thanks for calling, and I'm so excited to chat with you. What an exciting 2016 season, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. 2016 was big. We saw the explosion and the immersion of new stars come aboard. We had Najee Richardson, who just, electrified a lot of us because of, just his story, his build, his success. We had Jessie Graff, who was amazing this year, who really just took her game to a whole nother level. Megan Martin brought the punch. And so this year, season 9 is around the corner. We're looking to expand on that, go even bigger, come up with some more crazy obstacles to push and test these athletes. But before we do that, just like we have the NBA getting ready to go on their All-Star break, we got our All-Star break. But I would bet anyone that this All-Star break is better than any of the other All-Star. And to even prove it, the NFL for the Pro Bowl, they got rid of the skills challenge for a very long time. And they actually reached out to American Ninja Warrior. Can you imagine? The NFL is a big fan of American Ninja Warrior, and they reached out to them to create their new skills challenge that they showed this year at the Pro Bowl. All the guys, I was talking to Odell Beckham Jr., he was in love with it. And so now we bring ours back this season. Last year we got a chance to select our dream team. I won, so I'm putting it out there. I won last year, and this year, same thing probably is going to happen again. I get a chance to get my dream team, which is Neil Crazy Craver, Grant McCartney, and Megan Martin, who I just talked about before, and we get to compete against our team. So Matt will pick his, Christine Leahy will pick hers, and we'll see who's going to be the best general manager. And then the second half of the show coming up this Monday is, I think, the one that was trending on Twitter last year. People are like, oh my, I've never seen anything like this. We take some of the crazy obstacles that's been seen, iconic obstacles on American Ninja Warrior, and we supersize it. The warp wall, which is traditionally 14 feet on our show, gets supersized last year to 19 feet, and it gets however high. If you can go higher than that, we'll keep going. So we start at 14, and we just keep building it, and whoever falls out is eliminated. So last year we had some go out at 15 or 16 feet. We had Flip Rodriguez make it to 19. The salmon ladder, which everyone loves, the salmon ladder, traditionally just 5 rungs. We get it all the way up to 40 rungs. So that's 8 times the size that you see on the traditional. And we take some of the other obstacles and we expand it and we make a longer version. And so you see these athletes really get a chance to kind of showcase their skill set, what makes them the strong ones, and how long can you climb, and how far can you lache, and so it's pretty neat to see this. I think people are going to be talking about this one, and I think it's going to be a breath of fresh air from a lot of the stuff that the climate of this culture now, a lot of negative politics, a lot of negativity on TV. So you get a break to watch some real athletes with some amazing stories compete and show off.
I remember the last time we talked about
we got to get you out there too, Neil. We got to get you out on the course.
Yeah, did you you're going to test out this one just to play around when you see it?
You say, am I going to test it out?
Yeah.
Yeah, if I test it out, I'm going to break like I did one of the other competitors. I tested out their course, their salmon ladder, and I ended up breaking it. You got to remember, I'm 250 pounds. So I don't want to be breaking anybody's course, and I definitely want to be breaking ours because that costs a lot of money.
You don't want them to fine you or take it out of your paycheck. They did that enough times.
No. I've got 4 kids. I need to try to get them through this expensive college.
Oh, fantastic! You have 4, I have 5, so we know how crazy our lives are, aren't we? Yeah.
Let's keep that on the low because my wife is trying to pressure me to get number 5, and I'm like, I think 4 is enough.
We're going to root for 5, okay? And I'll root for 6, and I'll root for 6 for myself.
We'll be in your same boat, huh?
Yeah, we'll be in crazy land for sure. And I guess again, and you can't wait till the new season, right? In 2017 as well. That's exciting for you as well. Looking forward.
I really am looking forward to it. I start my prep this week. And just start going through the videos. And this is where I really take my time. I got to get out the house because, the kids will, they won't let you watch your videos. And what I really do is try to get to know, I can't meet, the hundreds of thousands of people who are submitting videos, but the ones that we select, we'll get up to over 1,000 videos. And I sit there and I watch every single one of them because I genuinely want to be a fan of the people who are competing. I want to know their story. I want to get to know them. And I think the only way to really do them service is to be able to watch their videos and get a beat on who they are. And I think a lot of that comes from the fact that, I wasn't a blue chipper growing up. I was one of those guys who was just a blue collar worker, had to kind of work his way through, fight for everything I got, for all the opportunities that I got to make it to college, get a scholarship, to make it to the NFL. I had to work for it. And look, everybody wants to be recognized, and I operate at that premise. And so we know that some athletes will get more recognition than the others. So I want to make sure I do my due for every single competitor who comes on our show. I want to make sure I know their story so I can best, tell that during their run.
Well, you really prepare yourself, and that's fantastic. And I know about getting out of the house. When they're there, forget it. I'm gone. I'm going somewhere else. So if I want to get
yeah. Thank goodness for Starbucks. I may not like their burnt coffee, but I do like the fact that you can get out and just kind of zone out.
Exactly, or our local library. Okay, best place we can find information on you. Everyone needs to tune in Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern to 10 p.m. Eastern. The All-Star Special featuring supersized obstacles and nail-biting Team Matt versus Team Akbar versus Team Christine. And where can we find information on you, Akbar? Where can we go?
Well, you can go to akbar, akbar_GBAJA. That's on every platform. I'm on Snapchat, even though I'm still learning how to do it. Find me there, and then on Facebook, just akbar-gbajabiamila, one word. On Facebook.
All right, Akbar. Thanks for calling, man. Best of luck, and I'll think of you now 4, and I hope you can get 5. Okay, man? Take care.
All right. Watch your mouth. All right.
I'll see you, man. Take care. See you. Bye-bye. You're listening to Total Celebrity Show, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Total Celebrity Show. You can check me out on Twitter at TotalTutor and NeilHaley.com and all those exciting places. Leeza-Gibbons. Leeza, thanks for coming on the show, and how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
So what's going on also with your charity? Give us some updates on what's happening with the foundation and some of the other things you're doing.
Oh, my gosh, we're doing so great. We're doing these drum circles. We've got our Warriors of Wellness. We're doing a big Dare to Care fair coming up. We've got creative expressions. We're doing a big art therapy thing. So we're just so blessed to be able to offer caregivers so many programs that are allowing them really outlets to grow and offer so much community support. I just feel like when we're able to connect with each other, we recognize that we're stronger when we share our vulnerabilities. And so for us, it's all about just kind of reaching out and saying, hey, you too. And when we kind of see that we're so much more alike than we are different, and we're really better when we're able to just lift each other. And that's what we do as part of Leeza's Care Connection. So we're at leezascareconnection.org. Drop in, say hey, follow us, and be part of it. It's really a lovely community.
And also, any news, any other projects to report on as well, Leeza? Especially, I guess, part of the new Celebrity Apprentice you were on. You have some feedback about what happened with the winner and anything else going on for you.
Well, I had a great time being one of the consultants on this season with Governor Schwarzenegger, and that was really fun to be on the other side of the table. Yes. So much easier than being one of the contestants that thinks he's going to get fired. I was really impressed with this year's winner. I love Matt Eisman. I think he was an outstanding choice, and he was so passionate for the Arthritis Foundation because he has arthritis, and that I think was his burning desire, which is always an indicator of I think who's going to get there. He's just a great guy, so I was very happy about that.
Awesome. And we could pick up your latest book as well, Leeza, right, on Amazon and all finer bookstores for sure. And where we can find more information on you, where's the best place we can go?
Fierce Optimism, my book is out on paperback now, and the audio version of the book is available as well. And you can catch up with everything going on with me at leeza-gibbons.com. So I would love that. And if anybody would want to be kept up to date, you can always find me on Instagram at leeza-gibbons, and that'd be really fun to say hey.
All right. Well, thanks again, Leeza, for calling. Best of luck for all your ventures, and you're doing some tremendous work. Keep up that great work, okay?
Thanks so much. It's good to talk to you.
Take care. Bye-bye. You're listening to Total Celebrity Show, and we'll be back in just a moment. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Total Celebrity Show. You can check me out on Twitter at TotalTutor and NeilHaley.com. And again, always love working with Triumph Books. I'm excited to welcome the program author of 100 Things Iowa Fans Should Know and Do Before They Die, Rick Brown. Rick, thanks for calling. How are you?
Good, Neil. How are you?
Fantastic, Rick. How crazy is our Iowa sports in the state for Hawkeye sports?
Well, they're crazy. I mean, very, very passionate fan base. Sometimes I think too passionate, but that's another story. The thing that's unique about Iowa, it's a small population state, but we also have a Big 12 school in Iowa State. So you have a Big 10 and a Big 12 school in a small state. It creates a lot of animosity, rivalry, friendship, and dislike.
So Hayden Fry, that I'm sure he's in the book. And see, I was looking at, once you mention names, it starts hitting. I'm a definite fan of Hayden Fry. And so you talked about how he changed the tradition of Iowa football in many ways, didn't he?
He really did. He, his first season, Iowa had an unbelievable schedule. They played Nebraska at home, at Oklahoma, and it was just a brutal schedule. And Fry said they played a game in Oklahoma. They lost 21-6, and people were patting the players on the back like they'd won, a big game. He was furious. He said, if I see one guy smile on the bus going to the airport, I'm going to punch him in the mouth. Well,
oh my gosh! Yeah.
Hard to say that now. You couldn't say that now and get away with it. But his point was, I'm not going to take losing. We don't take losing. We got to learn to win. And that was his whole modus operandi as he took over that program.
Yeah, it's definitely something in a way for sure. The kind of thing is he's going to expect winning. And so, what were their best seasons under Hayden Fry, in your opinion? Because, again, I think that, Ferentz has brought them back to relevance in the last couple of years, and we'll talk about that for sure. But what would you say best years for Hayden were as a coach?
Well, I would say the most remarkable year was his third year, 82 season. Iowa led losing seasons his first 2 years, so that made the streak of non-winning seasons at 19. Well, they came and got a junior college quarterback from California named Gordy Bohannon, whose son, by the way, is a starting freshman point guard on the Hawkeye basketball team this year. But Bohannon came in, he had some other good players, and they stunned the world. They won a share of the Big Ten title and went to the Rose Bowl after 19 straight non-winning season. That is started the year by beating Nebraska, and they also knocked off UCLA at home. And those were the first two years that Kirk Ferentz was on board as the offensive line coach at Iowa. He had a taste of that. And like I said, they went to the Rose Bowl. Jock Robinson and Don James in Washington took care of them 28-zip. But it was a remarkable journey, and it was a season that people will not soon forget. The other great season was 85 when Chuck Long was the quarterback, was a Heisman runner-up that year, and they got to the Rose Bowl again, were favored to win, but Rodney Harmon fumbled 4 times, and Iowa got beat by UCLA 45-28. So, but those to me are the 2 great seasons under Hayden Fry.
And then we talk about Chuck Long, and those are the names I remember based on national recognition. He definitely Heisman runner-up, so that team under Chuck Long was huge, wasn't it? It was just a really...
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah. What do you think made Chuck Long so special as a quarterback, especially in college?
Mm-hmm. He was a cerebral quarterback. He really made mistakes and very accurate. I know he had school records. I think he still does for consecutive completions in a game, 16, and threw for a lot of yards. Hayden's offense was pretty wide open. Chuck that year had some tremendous receivers. He had possession receivers like Bill Happel and deeper threats like Scott Helverson, who's now an NFL official, by the way. And he just had a good running game. It just all meshed. And Chuck was a great leader. He kept everything rolling and had a good feel. Wasn't afraid to question Fry when Fry made a call. There was a famous the 85 season Iowa was playing Michigan State, and Fry called a bootleg, and they had no timeouts left and like 20 seconds on the clock. And Long says to Fry, he says, "Coach, what happens if I don't get in?" He says, "You're going to get in. Don't worry about it." He ran the bootleg and scored. So it's kind of that. But Chuck just had a grasp on the whole time.
Definitely. And his NFL career, I remember who did he play quarterback for? Did he play for the Lions? Yeah.
Lions, yep.
Yes.
Yep.
And what kind of career did he have in the NFL? Again, playing for the Lions, that's...
Yeah, he didn't play very long. He had a pretty short career.
Yeah.
Things just didn't work out for him. It's like, especially at quarterback spot, if you get in the right system that suits your style, it can work. If you get in a system that really isn't conducive to the way you play, you can have a pretty short career, and that's what happened.
Now, talking about Iowa basketball, I wonder which kind of years you were thinking. I don't. That's really hard to pinpoint. The best years for Iowa basketball, but you hear the name Carver Hawkeye Arena, you talk about a place that's tough to win at, especially in certain years with Iowa basketball, right?
Right. Well, Lute Olson was behind that arena being built. Iowa played in Iowa Fieldhouse, which was a great home court advantage, but it was an antiquated bandbox, so to speak, metal bleachers, and it was loud in there. But Lute knew they had to come into the modern age. He raised the money for Carver Hawkeye Arena. They built it. And they opened it halfway through the season, and Lute was gone to Arizona right after that. So
oh, wow.
He didn't stay. He didn't get to enjoy it very long. But Iowa had great history in the 50s. They were national runner-up to San Francisco, Bill Russell, and those guys.
Oh, wow.
50, 56, and then the Final Four in 55. Lute Olson took the 79-80 team with Ronnie Lester at point guard to the Final Four.
I didn't even know that. Okay.
Yeah, Iowa hasn't been back to the Final Four since Tom Davis got Iowa to the Elite Eight in his first season, the 86,
Tom Davis,
86 season, and they had a 17-point lead on UNLV at halftime, and the Rebs came from behind and beat them 84-81 to go to the Final Four. So actually it was 87. So
yeah,
that's as close as they've been to the Final Four since.
So what about, was Alford coach there, right? Am I correct?
Yeah, he was. Yep. He replaced Tom Davis. Tom Davis was the coach for 13 years, and people were bored with just 21 seasons, and we always lose in the second round of the tournament. And decided they wanted to go somebody to take them to the next step. Well, the next step was in the opposite direction, because Steve Alford did some good things, but then Todd Licklider came in. He was not a good fit, and that program hit rock bottom.
And where are they today? Because you're right. That's really interesting. So Tom Davis was a great coach. I mean, honestly, I consider anytime you get to the tournament every year, especially when you think of how tough the Big Ten is, that's when I thought of Carver Hawkeye Arena and saying, okay, Iowa's always playing their certain level. And just like Pitt, how we wanted to run Jamie Dixon out, which I'm now really seeing I was wrong, because maybe it was time for him to go, but they should have kept the same system. Pitt has fallen to nothingness. So looking at specifically, Alford was supposed to be the guy, and then after he left, the program's never been what since. So when we think about Tom Davis, what would you think it made him such a good coach? Because, winning in a school like Iowa, that's not the hotbed for college basketball, right? Especially when you're competing against Indiana, Michigan State, Ohio State in recruiting. I mean,
right. Yeah, that's exactly right. Tom Davis, a lot of his success was based on his style of play. He loved that up tempo, fast break basketball. Right. And for traditionalists who love defense, he was not their kind of coach, boy, because they were trying to outscore people and weren't known as a defensive team. But it was a very fun style to watch, and he just got athletes who like to get up and down the floor and could score points and try to outscore you.
Wow. Okay. Well, that again, there's a lot more history of 100 Things, Iowa, and I'm sure to come up with that list, especially with those great fans and the rivalry between you and Iowa State definitely is in this book a lot. You dedicated the dominance that how you won many games against Iowa State, which made lots of people happy between 83 and 97. So there's a lot of interesting stuff in the book. Where's the best place we can purchase the book and learn more about you? Where can we go?
Well, you can get it online at Amazon.com, and BarnesandNoble.com has it also in stock. So just do a search online and it'll pop up.
Well, it needs to be in Pittsburgh.
If you're an Iowa fan, I'm sorry. If you're an Iowa fan, even if you don't live in Iowa, I think you'd enjoy the book. So just check it out online. Yep.
Especially the whole Pittsburgh thing. It needs to be in Pittsburgh bookstores for that reason alone, Rick. Because, come on now. The whole story of the Steelers and all that. So let's hope Iowa basketball comes back. And what is your expectations for next year's football season for Iowa? Do you think they're going to have a pretty good team? I mean, there were probably high expectations that just didn't come to fruition this year. Do you think next year that they will come back to that?
Yeah, I think in the you mentioned basketball, and the team is 14-10 going into a game in Minnesota tonight. But they start 4 freshmen, so they've got a pretty bright future. They won some games. Football, it's going to be interesting because Kirk Ferentz named his son Brian as the offensive coordinator recently. And they brought back their old offensive coordinator, his quarterbacks coach, Ken O'Keefe, who's with the Dolphins. Saying there's other positions to fill, but they've got a tremendous running back in Akram Wadley, a top-notch linebacker in Josie Jewell to lead both sides of the ball. They have a brand-new quarterback. That'll be interesting. So expectations are probably not as high as this season, but and the schedule is tougher, too. They got both Ohio State and Michigan on there. So it'll be interesting. I think 7-8 wins is probably what this team should expect.
See, that's too bad, but you never know with how the cookie how everything falls for sure. Because look at this, look at Penn State and this amazing run they had, which I don't want to talk about because Pitt beat them. The Pitt beat the 2 of the top 5 teams in the country. So let's go all the way, Pitt, right?
Penn State demolished Iowa.
Yeah.
In the Happy Valley, and a week later, Iowa knocked off number 2 Michigan back at Kinnick Stadium. So
you never know.
You never know with college football, man.
Exactly. All right, well, Rick, thanks for chatting about all these really fun stories about Iowa Hawkeye sports, and I appreciate you calling.
All right, Neil, enjoyed it.
All right, take care, Rick. Take care, man. See ya. Okay, bye-bye. You're listening to the Total Celebrity Show, and we'll be back in just a moment. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Total Celebrity Show. You can check me out on Twitter at Total Tutor and NeilHaley.com and all those exciting places. And, really interesting guests we have on the line, so I'm excited to welcome the program again, premiering on January 28th. I'm excited to welcome the program actor Brandon T. Jackson of Lifetime's movie. How are you? Love by the 10th Date. Brandon, thanks for calling. How are you?
Thank you for having me, man. I'm good. I'm excited. We got the film coming out, this weekend on the 28th. And, I'm very excited because it's definitely a film that I endorse and I think is a dope film. I'm not just on these calls, just, how actors be in the morning, just like, watch the movie. I really like the movie.
For sure.
It's really good, man. Really good movie.
For sure. And tell us about what Love by the 10th Date. Again, Lifetime has very, very interesting types of movies that they have out, but this is definitely a love story. But tell us about it. Yes.
Well, it's definitely a love story, of course, but it's definitely, have strong characters in the film. I think it's shot very, I have to say it's shot very hip. It's very cool, You got Kelly Rowland, Megan Good, Carrie Hilson. It's very cool, man. It's a good movie that I think crosses all barriers and everything. And I think that it's a different feel for Lifetime. And I think that's something that they're doing well with. They're starting to take risks and do different movies with strong characters and stories that are not just the cliche stories. So they're doing things that's just it's like. We know we all have, love and everything, but the definition that the love story in our generation hasn't been done like on a hit level, And this is something I think that it's really a hip situation that's happening right now, and I think that Lifetime was actually very brave for doing something, out of their ordinary program. You know what I mean?
Well, absolutely, Brandon. I think, and that's the thing, that they're looking at the audience and how to take certain things, and it's because of the original programming, Brandon, meaning other programming, not just original movies, but the other shows that are on now on the network. I think that they're attracting a more diversity of an audience on Lifetime, and that's why a show like a love story like this one is a perfect match for Lifetime, I think.
Yeah, and you know what it is? It's like it's how do you explain? Like, this movie's not as cliche as it sounds. Like, Love by the 10th Date, you know, it's more so about, you know, it's just like it's a different type. It sounds cliche, but it's not the same film that we've seen before. It's definitely a different film, and that's one thing I like about it. And I'm able to play different characters. I'm normally the funny sidekick, the funny thing, and I'm good to kind of do something different and do something real romantic and, you know, and still be able to be funny without it being over the top, you know?
I hear you. Especially, you throw in your funny little jokes or innuendos, but yet you're playing more of a serious character. So tell us about your character, and then I want to get into specifically more of the story. So tell us your character.
Well, my character is like Dante. He's kind of a player up at first, and then, you know, he's also looking for the same thing Megan Good's character is looking for, his love. You know, it's like, you know, but he's not ready to settle down yet. So if he's ready to settle down, then, you know, he will have you know, if he finds the right one, he'll be ready, you know, kind of to settle down. Or not just that, you have to be ready to settle down. Like, you just can't settle down when you're not ready. So I think he's in between that. And the whole story is about, you know, Megan Good goes on 10 dates to, you know, find love. You know what I mean? And she's like a good girl that wants to, you know, find the right guy. So it's kind of like that, you know. But she really goes all out with the comedy. Shout out to Megan Good. She does a great job going all out with the comedy and everything. So I'm very proud of her that she's able to step out like a Lucille Ball and do something where it's like, it's kind of, when you see it, you'll know what I mean. It's very, you know, out there. And for having these strong characters, female characters on film right now, it's very cool to watch them kind of, you know, have fun and play. There's no competition on set. All the men got along, all the women got along. So that was a good deal because, you know, some sets people don't get along. And this one, it was real romantic and lovely. Believe it or not.
So, yeah. So, and I think, Brandon, what we see is specifically that so many people are not doing the dating scene. They're either choosing or settling in certain ways. And Megan's character is going through looking for special qualities of a guy. What would you say that that Megan was looking for in this story? What was she ultimately looking for while she was dating these different guys? Yeah.
The right guy that you know fits her. You know, love isn't one size fits all. Like, in other words, you know, you might some women might like a guy that does this or does this, and some men might like a woman that does this. So it's like, you know, you have to understand that it's very hard to define love from each individual. People like different things. And people like, you know what they like. Like, for me, you know, I like a funny girl who's you know, who has personality that's not shallow. I like earthy girls. I like, you know what I mean? I like that type of feel. So like, that's my, you know, I'm like something with substance. Everyone has their own thing. So I feel like that's what Megan Good is trying to search out in her character. You know, the right one that fits her. So.
And to find love, right, Brandon? Not choosing because of money, not choosing because of looks, but finding the total package that they're best friends. And, you know, with all these Match.com and all these different types of things, and people don't even go to the bar scene anymore, you know, and they're just Snapchatting or doing whatever, finding that relationship. And that's what it sounds like that 10th date is. I'm going to find this right guy, and then I'm not going to be choosy in this process. And it sounds like, Brandon, you have that same mindset when it comes to women. Am I correct?
Yeah, I do, definitely. I can't date someone that's shallow. I like smart, I like they got to be smart. You know what I mean? As much as I hate when I'm get corrected, but it's what I need, because I need somebody to stimulate me mentally too. I just can't sit up and just look at a cute girl all day. I just can't do that. So yes, I'm less shallow on that end. But I mean, you can have both though. You can have a beautiful woman that's smart, intelligent, loves life, loves God, and keep rocking out. That's how I'm on. So it's all good.
All right, so again, January 28th, 10 p.m. Eastern on Lifetime. Brandon, is there a place we can find information on you and follow you and stuff like that to learn more what you're doing and all that stuff for your other projects?
I need y'all to follow me on Instagram at Brandon T. Jackson. Is my name, Brandon T. Jackson. Just follow me on Instagram. Look me up. It's the one with the blue check, not all the other ones. Make sure I get the one with the blue check on, because I got a lot of fake pages.
Hey, that's how you get verified, right? Being a celebrity, and also a lot of people make fake pages. So I understand, Brandon. Well, thanks for calling, man, and best of luck with the movie on Saturday. And enjoy, and hope to chat again. Take care, man.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
See you. Bye-bye. You're listening to Total Celebrity Show, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Total Spotlight Show. You can check me out on Twitter at Total Tutor and NeilHaley.com. So I'm excited to welcome the program author Jesse Temple, author of 100 Things Wisconsin Fans Should Know and Do Before They Die. Jesse, thanks for calling. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much for having me on, Neil.
So let's kind of delve into my favorite moments in Wisconsin sports. You'd say, really? A Pittsburgh guy? No, I'm a huge college sports fan, and I'm going to look at, specifically enough, the rise of Wisconsin basketball and the ability, as you talked about, when you covered those Final Fours. Now, tell me how that kind of the switch went on, that Wisconsin started competing for national championships at that time period, especially when there's a lot of good college basketball teams. Between two different coaches to the third coach now, how Wisconsin kind of snuck up on people, didn't they?
Well, for the longest time, the football and the men's basketball programs weren't very good, and fans didn't have much to cheer about, and the NCAA tournament was kind of viewed as the holy grail if Wisconsin could just make it into the big dance. And Stu Jackson, who was here in the mid-'90s, early '90s, kind of helped to start this turnaround. They finally made the NCAA tournament after 47 years. And then Dick Bennett kind of continued that tradition. He helped his team make a magical Final Four run in 2000. And then, of course, Bo Ryan took over, had a ton of success at the D3 level, spent a couple years at UW-Milwaukee, and then finally made it to Madison as head coach. And, he was obviously a very special coach and helped this program reach new heights, and it kind of culminated with those two Final Four runs. Wisconsin was always very good, always played sound basketball, but finally they had the players that were among the best in the country. Frank Kaminsky was a National Player of the Year. Sam Decker, obviously another first-round pick, and you had guys like Nigel Hayes and Bronson Koenig, young guys who came in, Josh Gosser and Trey Jackson. So it all came together and really just formed one of the most special seasons that Wisconsin has ever had.
Now, Dick Bennett, so when Dick Bennett left, and I'm sure this is in the book, finding Bo Ryan with such great success in the D3 level, and then going and saying, okay, we're going to plug him in with the same idea. Did Dick have anything to do with the successor? Because you'd think it would be someone off his bench.
No, Bo had a long, long history of being in Wisconsin. Everybody around here knew who he was. He first came to Wisconsin in the 70s, so, I think for him this was kind of his dream job. And, of course, he spent so many years at UW-Platteville winning national championships, and then went to UW-Milwaukee because he wanted to be a Division I coach. So after 2 years at Milwaukee when the job opened up, Bo was the perfect guy, and everything, I guess the stars aligned, you could say. So I think it had more to do with Bo's success within the state and him knowing, this was the job that he always wanted. And, there's this idea at Wisconsin that you want a coach who wants this to be a destination job, and that's what it was for Bo. And, of course, it worked out for all sides.
Absolutely, and we'll talk about the more of the book is those two. Those two are probably the most famed in the book, right? Ranking-wise, that you put in the 100 Things were both those coaches I just mentioned, correct? for basketball?
No, well, I mean, Barry Alvarez is actually chapter 1, and rightfully so. And I should mention that Barry was kind enough to write the foreword for this book. I mean, more of the chapters focus on football. I'd say at least 40, and at least 30 are about basketball. But Barry is the reason that the program is where it is, the athletic department as a whole. I mean, of course, a lot of people know the story, but when he came here in the early 90s, they were $2.1 million in debt. They had bad programs. Barry immediately said he was going to turn this program around and kind of raise some eyebrows, but 4 years later they won the Rose Bowl, and kind of the rest is history. The football team's been a top 25 program pretty much ever since. Barry's been the athletics director for more than a decade and helped turn things around. So, Barry Alvarez is extremely important. Bob Johnson, the famed hockey coach, Pat Richter, Ron Dane. I mean, those are some of the names that are in the first 10 chapters, in addition to guys like Bo Ryan.
Gotcha. Okay, I guess I'm the basketball fan. I was going in different directions, but you're right with Barry Alvarez. Not just the ability to win as a football coach, but as an athletic director. How many years did he coach? And I'm sure that's in the chapter. And step down to become the AD. Did that change? Did that help the basketball program, in your opinion? Him now looking at other sports, not just the control of how he was able to resurrect the football program.
Yeah, well, I mean, Barry was here from 1990 to 2005. He left as the winningest coach in program history, and he had taken over as athletics director in 2004, which is a position he continues to hold. I mean, certainly having a football team win games and make money for the athletics department helps everyone. I mean, it can help fund other venues. The Kohl Center, for example, is a newer venue at Wisconsin, but I think that is kind of the spark that got everything going. Now, you need the right coaches in place in every sport. Just because Barry is successful in football doesn't mean the basketball team's automatically going to win games, but I think he was the spark that ignited kind of what's been a magical run here the last 25 or so years. Wisconsin has been nationally relevant in football and men's basketball almost every year, and you can't say that about very many programs across the country.
No, both together, and that's the impressive part that you see. You're right, football and basketball, national-type powerhouse. I don't want to talk about what happened to my Pitt basketball team, but they've fallen apart. If I was, I no wonder the AD already cut and loose. He knew this was going to be a tremendous, awful situation. So then you got Pitt program used to have, almost similar, but Wisconsin, you're right, top 5, Final 4, Rose Bowl, possibilities of national championships with both programs. How many other schools can we talk about like that? We could say Michigan at times, but not really. But the consistency. So that's again a testament to Alvarez and just again the whole university and president saying we want to win and we want to do well. So that's I'm sure big thing. Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You can probably count on one hand the programs that every year are top 25 or top 10 in both sports. For years it's been Michigan State's basketball program not having the greatest year, but it is interesting because sometimes there are these perennial powerhouses in basketball that aren't very good in football. I think of Kansas, which is where I grew up. North Carolina has a solid football team, but the basketball team is what you think of. The same with Kentucky. I think UCLA now is pretty solid in both areas, but very select few that are good in both. And just look at this year as a kind of a microcosm of the last 25 years for Wisconsin. The Badgers were in the national title discussion until nearly the end, won the Big Ten West, played in a New Year's Six bowl game, and the basketball program right now, top 15, rolling toward a potential Big Ten championship in basketball and a high seed in the NCAA tournament. So this has been a special run, and I'm sure for fans who are around for the lean years, they can particularly appreciate what's gone on. I think for maybe the younger generation, this has become the expectation. But, success breeds success, and that's how it is.
So we got that completely down. Let's go to one of the history. How did the mascot come about, the Badger? Is it because of the state, or how? Do you have a story in your book about that?
Yeah, I do. So the man responsible for there used to be an actual badger that I guess this is more about the mascot, but there used to be an actual badger that ran onto the field, but because it was an animal, sometimes it would burrow in the corner and didn't provide much spirit for the university. And there was a guy named Bill Soxie, and he wore a costume back in 1949, I think, that pumped up Wisconsin's crowd at sporting events. And initially it was made out of, paper mache, that was designed for him, and but the nickname itself dates way back into the 1820s. Wisconsin was named the Badger State because there was an association of lead miners here way back then, almost 200 years ago, that lived. They were said to have lived like badgers in tunnels burrowed into hillsides in the winter. So the Badger was Wisconsin's official mascot, I guess, since the inception of intercollegiate football back in 1889. So even before there was an official mascot or an official animal that was on the sideline, they were known as the Badgers. But the mascot itself kind of came into fruition in the mid 20th century, and it's been here ever since. And actually, there's kind of an interesting story that in 1973 there was an assistant attorney general. His name was Howard Koop. And he suggested that Bucky be replaced by Henrietta Holstein, which was a cow. It was like a lovable, productive cow in the state, and he said that kids loved cows and that a generation could grow up supporting the university and Henrietta Holstein, and that got shot down immediately. So instead of Wisconsin being the cows, they remain the Badgers to this day. So that's a little bit of the history behind how Wisconsin became known as the Badgers and how Bucky Badger came about as well.
That's an awesome story. And then so you talk about other sports as well. Not just basketball and football and those 100 things, right? That's sometimes those 100
men's
things
hockey.
Do not do that. Yeah.
So, I mean, there's some chapters on men's hockey, and I mentioned Bob Johnson, the legendary hockey coach, who kind of helped kickstart this program back in the 60s. And of course, his son Mark Johnson is now the women's coach, was very successful with the men's program as well. And there's some chapters on women's hockey and other, I guess, key moments or figures in other sports. Lee Kemp in wrestling, Donna Shalala, who was president of the school back in the early 90s. It's mostly football and men's basketball, but there are things about women's volleyball and other important moments in those sports as well. Yeah, well, as I say in the book, he remains the only coach to have won an NCAA and an NHL championship. So, there's a reason that he was a Hall of Famer, and, of course, as you mentioned, was named Badger Bob, won a Stanley Cup title in what ultimately turned out to be his last season with the Penguins. But just a beloved figure in Madison, won, so many national titles for the Badgers, and as I said, helped this program become what it is. Because they kind of tried to restart the hockey program in the 60s, and after 3 years or so, Bob Johnson joined the program, and he won 367 games in 15 seasons.
All right, Jesse, best place we can find info, we can purchase this at triumphbooks.com. You have a website, social media-wise, people can check you out and stuff. Where can we go?
Yeah, well, if you're interested in the book, you can just Google it, really, 100 Things Wisconsin Fans Should Know and Do Before They Die. But it's available on Amazon right now, other online outlets, Triumph Books, as you said, and local bookstores around the state of Wisconsin. So if you're interested, there should be a place for you to find it.
All right, well, fantastic. Thanks for taking the time. You're busy as can be. All right, thanks, Jesse. Take care. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Total Celebrity Show. You can check me on Twitter at TotalTutor, NeilHaley.com, and I'm excited to welcome the program New York Times best-selling author, Matt Taibbi. Matt, thanks for calling. How are you? And you know what? Today is a day we're talking about your book, Insane Clown President, and it's a day that you think is insanities happen, right? For sure, with Donald Trump.
Yeah.
So the moment is here. So what made you want to do this? Again, you write for the Rolling Stone. You see this specific thing. You understand lots of crazy people you've interviewed in your life. I know for a fact, especially writing for the Rolling Stone, that that made you really jump on this story.
So covering the campaign trail for Rolling Stone is kind of an unusual job. It's sort of an iconic position that gets passed down from generation to generation, because we have this tradition going back to Hunter Thompson and back in the early 70s when he was writing about Richard Nixon. He wrote, which his stories ended up becoming compiled in a book called Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail in 1972, which is kind of a classic. And what really made that book work was Hunter Thompson was completely obsessed with Richard Nixon, whom he ballooned up into this incredible, engrossing, villainous character. And right. I've been doing this for 4 campaigns now, and I can't say that any of the characters that I've ever written about have ever been as interesting or as multi-sided as Donald Trump is. I think this is the first time that there was a subject that was kind of worthy of the same attention that Hunter Thompson gave to Richard Nixon.
And Matt, as a journalist, I don't always like to put my opinion on things, but I'm going to put it in terms of Donald Trump speaks to people, whatever audience he's in front of, he tries to please. It's from the days of the Celebrity Apprentice to the person he is, and yet he'll do something completely different. So when you cover him, you're like, okay, he's in this direction, then he'll flip-flop. He's a perfect politician in so many ways, Matt, in a way that he says something. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right, and I think that's an insight. It's amazing, you have this insight, but I think that very insight eluded a lot of the sort of cream of the crop political reporters because they didn't really understand what he was doing. I totally agree with you. Donald Trump, to me, he's a gluttonous personality. He does everything to excess. He likes to eat to excess. He likes women. He likes parties. He likes hanging out with celebrities. He likes being famous, but he also consumes political positions, and he swallows up every position you can possibly have on every issue because he likes the sensation of people responding to him when he espouses a position. So when he's around liberals, he'll say he's pro-choice. When he's around other people, he'll say people who want abortion should be punished. And it's not because he has any particular ideology. It's just the way he's wired that way. And it was really incredibly interesting to watch because he definitely morphed as a candidate in this almost chameleonic way, depending on who his audience was.
Right, and you're going to see the same thing happen, and it's going to make the Republicans frustrated with him very soon as well, especially the fiscal conservatives, meaning the ones that are the Tea Partiers, and they're not going to find out what you're going to get is Bush on severe steroids. And that's it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All Trump wants to do is make money, okay, and have popularity. So he'll play to the liberal base, just have celebrities come over, like he has his own celebrity apprentice in the White House. Could you imagine the number of celebrities that are going to come, Matt, that finally will, because he'll try to talk them into something just to get a photo op or just to feel special again?
Absolutely. Yeah, you've got your finger right on it because that's what Trump is all about. He's about attention, and I think to a slightly lesser extent, he's about making money. But the most important thing for him is fame, attention, adulation, and in terms of being his fiscal attitudes. Remember, as president, he's not spending his own money. He's going to be spending somebody else's money, and he's always been very, very adept at that. If you look at his history of spending money that he's gotten on loan, he's bankrupted 4 times. He doesn't really care. If it's not his money, that's not really terribly interesting to him. So he's going to try to do things. He may very well try to build that wall, and it may very well cost us, a tenth of what the military budget costs us. Who knows? But he won't care. And what he will care about, though, is getting headlines and being able to take credit for things and photo ops. And that's my guess, is that he's going to try to find the way to make the presidency, which is otherwise kind of a drag of a job. He wants to make it fun for himself because that's who he is.
So, Matt, in your opinion, again, everyone needs to pick up Insane Clown President. You look at it I bet you're a fan of the Insane Clown Posse. I'm thinking of the topic. Maybe I'm wrong, but it sounds like you could be that kind of person that likes that. That basically he is a sideshow freak. And that he literally wants to get press regardless of whatever. And for the next 4 years or 8 years, you're going to see the craziest things happen every day for the press, and it's going to be great. That's pretty much my take.
Yeah, I think that's right. One of the points that I try to make in the book is that even before Donald Trump came on the scene, before he even thought about running for president, the campaign trail and political reporting had really devolved into what was basically a television show. It was just a long reality show. And it makes money for all the networks, and that's what it does. Trump's innovation was to understand that it was a bad television show. I mean, if you're trying to run a reality show and the stars of the show are Scott Walker and Lindsey Graham, then you have a crappy television show. Trump made it an interesting television show. Whatever you think about him, the dramas were engrossing because he created controversies and he said outrageous things, and he generated an enormous amount of attention. And I think that's just in his DNA, is to create reality show drama. You know, I think that's who he is. And as president, just think of the things that he can do as president to get the news media buzzing and going crazy. I mean, the possibilities are both horrifying and breathtaking to think about.
It'll change the game for sure. You can pick up your book any finer bookstore and follow you on Twitter at what? What's the best place to follow you on Twitter, Matt, you think?
At Taibbi, so it's Mtaibbi. And
its history is here, but guess what? For the media, it's going to be great for you, even though it's going to be horrible for the country. So good talking to you, Matt, and take care, man.
All right, okay? Thanks so much, Neil.
You're listening to Total Celebrity Show. We'll be back.
Live from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the Total Education Show, the talk shop for teachers, parents, and administrators. Here's your host of the show, Neil Haley, the Total Tutor.